Captain Vrex stared at the tactical display with mounting disbelief. 3 months. 3 whole months of careful planning, advanced engineering, and enough firepower to level a small moon. All wasted. Because of one human. Sir, the patrol teams are reporting again. Lieutenant Kira's voice crackled through the comm unit, barely containing what sounded suspiciously like suppressed laughter. The human, he's talking to the rock slugs again. Vrex's mandibles clicked in frustration. When Command had assigned Cadet Marcus Webb to their survival training exercise on planet Zirion-5, they'd expected the usual human nonsense. Reckless charges, explosive solutions, maybe some primitive toolmaking. What they hadn't expected was this. Define talking, Lieutenant, Vrex growled, though he already knew the answer would make his exoskeleton itch. Well, sir, he's making those weird mouth sounds humans call whistling, and the slugs seem to be responding? They're following him around like domesticated pets. Of course they were. Because apparently, the one species in the galaxy that could bond with literally anything had decided to befriend the most feared predators on Zirion-5. Rock slugs stood 8 feet tall, had armor plating that could deflect plasma rounds, and secreted acid that could melt through starship hulls. They were the reason Zirion-5 was classified as a Class 7 death world, and Marcus Webb was teaching them tricks. What kind of tricks? Vrex asked, though part of him really didn't want to know. Sit, stay, roll over, and sir? I think he taught one of them to fetch. Vrex's eye stalks drooped. In the 3 days since the exercise began, his team had constructed a magnificent fortress. Walls 30 feet high, energy shields, automated defense turrets, underground bunkers stocked with enough supplies to last a month. It was a masterpiece of military engineering, designed to withstand anything Zirion-5 could throw at them. Meanwhile, Marcus had built a lean-to out of sticks and was apparently running a petting zoo. Sir, should we try to make contact with the human? Kira's voice held that dangerous edge that meant she was about to suggest something monumentally stupid. Absolutely not. Vrex snapped. We stick to protocol. Observe and evaluate. The human clearly has some sort of death wish. We'll document his inevitable demise and write a strongly worded report about proper species psychological screening. But even as he spoke, Vrex found himself watching the long-range monitors with a kind of horrified fascination. Marcus had somehow convinced a pack of 6 rock slugs to line up in formation. He was walking back and forth in front of them like some deranged drill sergeant, making those incomprehensible human mouth noises. Look at him, muttered Sergeant Zoth from his position at the weapons console. 3 days without proper shelter, minimal rations, no defensive perimeter. He should be dead 10 times over. Instead, he's got bodyguards, Kira added helpfully. Very large, very deadly bodyguards who seem to think he's their new best friend. Vrex rubbed his temples with 2 of his 4 arms. This was supposed to be a simple evaluation exercise. Drop the cadets on a hostile world, see how they adapt, rescue whoever survived after a week. Standard procedure. But humans, as usual, had found a way to completely ignore standard procedure and make it work anyway. Sir. The communications officer's voice cut through his brooding. We're receiving a transmission from the human. What? Vrex nearly fell out of his command chair. How? We didn't give him a comm unit. He's using rock slug calls, sir. The slugs are relaying messages. It's some kind of biological communication network. The entire bridge fell silent. Even the computer systems seemed to hum more quietly, as if afraid to interrupt this moment of pure, concentrated insanity. What's the message? Vrex asked weakly. He says, and I quote, "Hey guys. Hope you're enjoying your fancy fort up there. Got any spare soap? My new buddies are a bit smelly, and I promised them bath time if they helped me build a hot tub." A hot tub, Vrex repeated slowly. He wants to build a hot tub. On a death world. With predators. There's more, sir. He says he's located the underground thermal springs about 2 clicks from our position, and he's planning a barbecue for tomorrow night. He's invited us to join him. Says the rock slugs are excellent at digging fire pits. Kira snorted with laughter, then quickly tried to disguise it as a cough. Sergeant Zoth was making that wheezing sound that passed for amusement among his species. Even the usually stoic weapons officer was twitching in what might have been suppressed mirth. Sir, the communications officer continued, barely maintaining professional composure, he also wants to know if we have any musical instruments. Apparently, the rock slugs enjoy singing, and he's teaching them human folk songs. That did it. The entire bridge erupted in a mixture of laughter, clicking, and various other species-specific expressions of amusement. Vrex sat in his command chair, watching his disciplined military crew dissolve into giggles, and wondered if this was how every human's commanding officer felt, probably. The really terrifying part wasn't that Marcus had somehow befriended the local apex predators. It wasn't even that he'd turned a survival exercise into what sounded suspiciously like a vacation resort. No, the truly horrifying thing was that Vrex found himself actually considering accepting the invitation. After all, when was the last time anyone had offered to show him a hot tub? The emergency alarm shrieked through the fortress at 0400 hours, jolting Captain Vrex from his restless sleep. His eye stalks snapped to attention as Lieutenant Kira's panicked voice echoed through the corridors. "Captain. We have a situation. The Vrex hunting pack is moving toward the humans' position." Vex's blood turned ice-cold. The Vrex were the apex predators even the rock slugs avoided. 12 feet of pure muscle, razor claws, and enough venom to kill a Graxian mammoth in seconds. A full hunting pack meant at least 20 of the beasts. How long until they reach him? Vex barked, pulling on his combat gear. 15 minutes, sir. Maybe less. Prep the gunships. Ready the heavy plasma cannons. We need to extract the human before, sir. The communications officer interrupted, his voice shaking with something that definitely wasn't fear. We're receiving another transmission from Marcus. Vex froze. What kind of transmission? He says, quote, "Morning everyone. Quick heads up, my rock slug buddies are throwing a surprise party for some new guests. Might get a bit loud down here. Also, anyone know if Vrex like music? We're about to find out." A surprise party, Vex repeated numbly. For the Vrex hunting pack. There's more, sir. He wants to know if we have any party hats. The bridge fell deadly silent. Through the observation windows, they could see the Vrex pack emerging from the canyon, their scaled hides gleaming in the dawn light. 23 of them, moving with the coordinated precision of born killers, and there was Marcus Webb, sitting cross-legged in a clearing, surrounded by 6 rock slugs who appeared to be humming. "Is he insane?" whispered Sergeant Zoth. "The Vrex will tear him apart." But as they watched, the most extraordinary thing happened. The lead Vrex, a massive alpha male with scars covering his snout, approached the clearing and stopped. His head tilted to one side, listening to the strange melodic sounds coming from the rock slugs. "What are they singing?" Kira asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The communications officer checked his translator. "It appears to be an old Earth song called Kumbaya." "Sir, the rock slugs are harmonizing." The Vrex Alpha took another step forward. Then another. The rest of the pack followed, their aggressive postures slowly relaxing. Within minutes, the entire hunting party was sitting in a rough circle around Marcus and his geological choir. "This is impossible," Vex muttered. "Vrex don't socialize. They hunt. They kill. They eat. That's it." "Sir," the communications officer's voice had taken on that dangerous tone again. New message from Marcus. He says the Vrex are excellent dancers, and he's teaching them the electric slide. The what slide? Electric, sir. It's apparently a human mating ritual. It's not a mating ritual. Kira protested. I studied human culture. It's just a recreational dance. How do you know the difference? Zoth asked suspiciously. While I may have watched some human entertainment programs, Vex held up a hand for silence. This was rapidly spiraling beyond his comprehension. Through the monitors, he could see Marcus standing in the center of the clearing, surrounded by rock slugs and Vrex, all of whom appeared to be attempting some form of coordinated movement. "Sir." The tactical officer's voice cracked with excitement. "Seismic sensors are detecting massive underground movement. Something big is heading for the surface." "How big?" Vex asked, though he was beginning to suspect he didn't want to know. "Sir, it's a Titan worm. Class 12 threat level. Estimated length over 300 meters. The Titan worms were the stuff of legend. Ancient creatures that lived in the planet's core, they only surfaced once every few decades to feed. When they did, entire ecosystems fled or died. The ground-penetrating sensors showed the massive beast rising like some primordial nightmare, drawn perhaps by the vibrations of all the dancing. That's it. Vex declared. I don't care if he's made friends with every creature on this cursed planet. We're extracting him now. But before anyone could move, Marcus's voice crackled through the comm system again. Hey Captain Vex. I know you guys are probably freaking out up there, but don't worry. I've got this handled. My friend here just wants to join the party. Friend? Vex squeaked. What friend? The answer came in the form of the largest living creature any of them had ever seen. The Titan worm burst from the ground like a mountain coming to life, its segmented body gleaming with bioluminescent patterns. Its massive head, easily the size of a small building, lowered toward the clearing where Marcus stood with his impossible menagerie. For a moment, Nobody breathed, then Marcus reached out and patted the creature's snout. Good girl, Luna. I was wondering when you'd wake up from your nap. Luna? Vex's voice barely qualified as a whisper. He named it Luna, Kira confirmed, her own voice filled with awe. A Titan worm. He named a Titan worm Luna. The communications crackled again. So, about that barbecue I mentioned? Luna here is excellent at cooking. Apparently, controlled thermal venting is one of her specialties. We're thinking of opening a restaurant. You guys want to invest? Vex looked around his bridge at his crew of elite military officers, all of whom were staring at the monitors with expressions of complete bewilderment mixed with grudging admiration. Sir? Kira asked quietly. Orders. Vex watched as Marcus began what appeared to be a conga line, with rock slugs, Vrex, and a Titan worm all following behind him in surprisingly good rhythm. The most dangerous creatures on the planet were dancing. Actually dancing. Stand down all weapons, he said finally. Send a message to command. Tell them the exercise is complete. What about our evaluation report, sir? Vex thought about that for a long moment. How exactly did one explain that humanity's greatest survival skill wasn't their technology, their aggression, or their adaptability, it was their ability to make friends with anything? Just right that humans are unique, he said. And Lieutenant? Yes, sir? Ask Marcus if that invitation is still open. I've never been to a barbecue. After all, when a Titan worm was doing the catering, how could it be anything but extraordinary?